Well, good morning, everyone. Uh, School year is officially over. We work one more day in June, so graduations were yesterday and the day before. But I just wanted to really cap off the year by saying thank you and for um, really just expressing how in awe I feel at how you have done what has just like literally never been done before. We've all done what's never been done before. If we think historically to the 1918 or whatever influenza pandemic, it's not like everything went on Zoom then, right? So what we've done this year is we've kept going. We've kept pushing, and it was an interesting experience to to say the absolute least. Something that I've been fighting both internally and with colleagues and with people on Facebook is this notion that our students experience some kind of learning loss or learning gap this year. And respectfully, maybe not even respectfully, I completely disagree. We have done so much this year, and has this year looked different ways than previous years? Like, of course, undeniably, but like we've also gained so many more skills this year as well, while introducing some really new important work to our curriculum, at least coming from the world literature perspective. We began the year, our first major unit was this introduction to intersectionality, really looking at how these identities we have, some of which are still evolving, like to be fair, but these identities influence everything that we do in life. And should they? That's a completely different conversation. But the reality is that they do. And so, in particular, we took a big look at race and class and gender. We read a whole book. We read The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, and we looked at how these aspects of who and where and what we're from, none of which we get to choose, really influences our worldview. We talked about that term, and just how our experiences as young people, or as women, or as working class people, or whatever, it changes and it evolves and it grows, and it provides us with a direction that we look at the entire world from, right? And this is hard, good, important work, and it's not the first time. Well, it might have been the first time you really tackle it. It certainly won't be the last time. And I'm jealous that this work has been given to you at a pretty early age, because it's just going to plant some seeds of how you interact with different people and the world moving forward, right? And we did some great creative writing. We did some great analytical writing, and you guys really blew me away, really impressed me. We finished first semester with Lord of the Flies, which is an old school. Your parents, your grandparents might have even read it in high school, but it's still a really great book. excuse me, my morning coffee hasn't kicked in. Um, and we looked at good and evil, and we looked at society, and we looked at leadership, and we looked at all of these different qualities that absolutely exist, everywhere. And what is it that makes a leader, and how does psychology influence our psyches, and just how does all of that come together? And of course, always working on our analytical skills. We started working on our discussion skills with that unit. And I love that weird, creepy book. I really do. Second semester, we started with with my beloved crap project. So forcing my students to really look at just how many options there are for you post high school. I had students looking at colleges, looking at internship programs, gap years, the military, trades programs, everything, right? And I said to you multiple times that the best thing about being your age is you have so many options. The worst thing about being your age is you have so many options, right? And we also saw some some reality checks in terms of, okay, you have this goal of going to this great school by the beach, and it turns out everybody else wants to go to that school too. And so we really have to up our game. And that was a big theme for us in sophomore year literature this year, was like doing more than minimum, like really, really putting in good effort, even when I can't be lovingly sitting next to you, lovingly yelling at you to make sure that you're doing your best work. And our theme for this year was be extra. And I would tell you to be extra as you go into your work in the future, so that you're demonstrating that you're really, really like using your smarts, all your smarts, to the best of your ability, and really demonstrating to yourself first and foremost how amazing you are, because I know how amazing you are. We spent a good chunk of second semester reading Life of Pi by Jan Martel. This is a beloved book. A lot of people really, really like this book. And not only did we work on reading like a multiple hundreds of page novel, which some people haven't done, some people still didn't do, but for me, having read this book, multiple times now, the experience of Pi being stranded alone with very little at his disposal just could not be more clear. The analogy to our lives this last year, and the isolation we felt, and just what we've had, what tools we've had at our disposal, and really discovering what our values are, like actually beginning to understand, like when everything is taken away, when everything is stripped away, what is it that we actually value? We got to learn some spirituality. We got to learn some great philosophy, and we took a deep dive into some of these larger questions that Pi dealt with in the story, but also how they relate to our lives as well. And this book was more impactful to me than I knew it would be, and I'm grateful for having read it with you, and just thinking about how much I got out of this book this year was really cool. And also it was very rewarding to see a lot of my South Asian and Desi students talking about, oh my gosh, we actually read a book about an Indian boy. Like, we actually read a book that represents my culture. And we read 3 major pieces of literature this year. And my personal goal is to have more reading that reflects my students and what our world looks like now, and just the common experiences we all go through. We finished the year with our most challenging project, which was the Human Rights Publication Project, the website for which you are viewing this video. And I love this project for a couple of different reasons. One, it allows you to really gain some new skills. One, the research thing is super important. The being able to put a website together is really important. Being able to figure out what is a good source versus what is just an absolute garbage source is a really good skill, and taking that research, which most of us called Google and Wikipedia, right? But taking that research again to that next level in terms of what we know we can do. And then the other great thing about this project, at least from my perspective, is that you're starting to emerge into your own scholarship and start to research issues that are important to you. And we did force you to research an outside of the US issue, but of course we are members of a global community, whether we're very centered in Sunnyvale or not. Like we are connected to, we are affected by issues that are happening in other parts of the world. So I remind you of all this to say that when people talk about learning gaps or gaps in education, I don't know what they're talking about, right? Because we went through and we did all this without ever having physically met one another in some cases. I saw a lot of you for a minute in January, and I saw more of you for more than a few minutes after spring break, but we still did that, right? We did all of that work together. So I really thank you for sticking with me. I'm really grateful to your mom, dad, your parents, whoever pays your bills. I'm really grateful to those people for doing the hard work of making sure that their teenage child doesn't completely sleep their way through their sophomore year of high school. I cannot imagine. Oh, I cannot imagine. And I'm just really grateful for all the great emails and messages and everything like that we've shared this year. So to say that this is a year I'll never forget is an understatement. Oh my God. But I also am very confident that you're super prepared for next year. And I hope you have actual good restful summers. And I hope you get off your phone, because you've been on your phone for just ever. And I hope you read a book, like, for fun. And I hope you go outside and you volunteer and give back to the community and you do all that amazing stuff. Regardless, I will be here next year, of course. And I hope you swing by and say, hey, introduce yourself. And I just know that your second half of high school is going to be great. And I love you so much, and I appreciate you so much. And we'll talk later.